Welcome to the Lady Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your hostess, Jaha Knight, author of the Sophisticated Lady Guide to Being a Boss in Your Own Life. And as usual, you can find me at jahaknight.com. I am joined today by an amazing lady entrepreneur. Her name is Laura Klein, and she is the co-founder of Organic Authority, LLC, which is a new media company that publishes organicauthority.com and EcoSalon.com. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you for allowing us to have you here. I appreciate it. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your business?
Well, we are a new media company, and we publish two websites, organicauthority.com and EcoSalon.com. Both are in the green, healthy living niche. Organic Authority is about delicious food and healthy living, so that means we publish daily content around recipes, healthy living tips, a lot of how-to, all in the green niche. And EcoSalon is about conscious culture and fashion for women, all in the green niche.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. What inspired you to start a business in this niche?
Well, I went to culinary school, and I just wanted to learn how to cook delicious food, and I wasn't into organic or green at the time, but I discovered a secret behind the fine chefs of the world, and that they had been using organic on their menus, but didn't brag about it. And it just really caught my attention. And I thought it was kind of like a bunch of hoo-ha, there's no difference between organic and conventional and that type of thing. But I started doing the taste tests, and I really and sharing it with my friends, and I discovered, that obviously these fine chefs are right. There's a reason why they buy organic food, because of the quality and flavor. But then I took it one step further, and I wanted to know why organic was superior. And I started studying the science behind it, and that's really where I had a paradigm shift, because I saw directly how America's burgeoning health crisis, and this was like, gosh, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, was directly related to the everyday foods Americans eat. But what I also discovered too is that America had really I felt like America had been had. They'd had the wool pulled over their eyes in terms of how our food is grown, how it's raised, and people just didn't really know the truth behind their food supply. So I needed a job. I'd left my job. I had studied journalism in college, and my husband is a developer, and so I launched Organic Authority because I just really felt that America needed to know the truth behind its food supply, and I also felt like offering healthy and delicious recipes to a company, that was kind of a good idea.
So where would you recommend the average American to shop for their produce and things? Because I understand where you're coming from. I am a huge advocate of eating clean, because I feel like if you eat clean now, you don't have to pay doctor bills later. So that's my whole take on the situation. So where would you tell the average American to shop for their clean supply of food?
Well, you have to be resourceful, because everybody's food supply is different, and unfortunately, we don't all have access to the same food. So you really have to do do a little bit of research. If you don't know, start looking at your local farmers markets. Now, I know this is winter time, and most of America's farmers markets, if you live in the Midwest and the East Coast or the Pacific Northwest, a lot of those farmers markets are closed. Or they're just smaller. But I would start there first, and if there aren't any available to you at this time, then I would start looking at your local natural, grocery stores, and look for, what's closest to you, and start there. And because you'll probably have, hopefully, a couple of different choices to choose from, whether it's a big natural foods market, whether it's a small and pop natural foods markets, whether it's, a couple of local farmers. I would also recommend looking for CSA, community supported agriculture, where you can actually join a network of farms, and they deliver your food weekly or monthly.
Wow. See, I knew nothing about that. That's awesome. I would
Yeah.
love to do something like that. So I know
Cool.
that I know that you said that your husband is a developer, and when you started out after college, you realized you had to find a job. So that leads me to ask, what were the challenges that you had initially, either finding a job or even just transitioning into starting this business?
Well, it's a really good question, and I had actually been in the workforce a few years, but actually was very unsatisfied with what I was doing, and I was actually working at a local talent agency, and everyone was reading scripts, and I was reading cookbooks, and I thought, that's a good kind of tip. Maybe I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
Um, so, I just had to jump in. I mean, the challenges are always, what resources do you have? Money is always a big, hurdle unless you go out and get VC funding or, angel and funding. But you really have to look at, and this is exactly what I did. I looked at the resources that I had at my disposal and just ran with what I had, which was really only my skill set and my husband's skill set. And I just started, even though I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, what do you think the biggest risk was for you, even though you knew that there was that seed there because you were reading cookbooks while you were supposed to be working?
Right,
So
right.
what was the biggest risk you think that you took becoming an entrepreneur or even stepping into that realm? Because you said that the only real help you had was knowing your skill set and your husband's.
Well, the biggest risk, obviously, was leaving a stable job and a steady income. I did have the advantage of, my husband has his income, and so we were able to adjust that way. And obviously, there's a big risk of failure. I mean, my God, what if you just blow it and you just fail? But that's really part of the process. That's actually really part of the formula for success is allowing yourself to fail.
Okay, so if that was your formula, what two pieces of advice would you give to other women to have them, like if they want to start their I always mess this up, entrepreneurial journey, business owner. There we go. Let's say that. If
Uh-huh.
they want to start their business owner journey and they need help or they want to figure out the path, what would the two biggest pieces of advice that you've learned as an entrepreneur be to help them?
Well, number one, you just have to do it. A lot of entrepreneurs, particularly new entrepreneurs, they get held up in analysis paralysis, and there's a lot of fear, and rightly so. That's really our ego protecting us. But you really have to allow yourself to jump in and do it, and just get in the mix. And um, also find somebody who's gone before you, find a mentor if you can. I would also really highly recommend taking a marketing class and taking classes that are relevant to your niche, particularly if you don't have a lot of training or background in there. But you just got to do it, and you got to start reaching out and asking questions. Find a mentor who's done it, or take classes, to help you along the way.
If there was a quote that you can give us that would keep us going or that would keep an entrepreneur going in hard times, what would that quote be?
If you're going through hell, just keep on going. And that's by Winston Churchill. And you really do. Because there are moments where it is hell and you may not know what you're doing. But you just have to keep going. You can't give in. You can't give up and throw in the towel. That's where most entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial businesses fail is they just give up because it's too hard. And honestly, it's a tough road.
Okay. Now, I know you gave us two pieces of advice that you would give to other entrepreneurs. What would be two things that you recommend that the ladies have in their arsenal or toolkit while starting their business, or even in the peak of their business? Suppose they're stuck and they don't know where to go.
One of the, what you really need to have in your toolkit is you really need to know something about marketing and how to market in your business, in your niche, whether it's online, whether it's locally in your community. I think it's integral to the success of any business, even if you have a skill set. I mean, I never knew publishing a website in the early days would mean that I would really have to become an expert in and embrace marketing, online marketing. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't want to sign up for that. But unfortunately, if I wanted to succeed, I have to go that route. I just don't really think you can be a viable business without any marketing chops behind you. And what was the second part of your question?
It was just give them two pieces of, well, things that you would have in their toolkit. I'm so behind. Sorry. Two things that they should have in their toolkit for success.
Oh, so you need to develop marketing chops, and you also need to continually enroll in ongoing education in your business, in your niche. So you are really at the cutting edge, and you know kind of like the latest and the trends and what's going on in your business, and you can adjust because man, the weather can change, the tide can change, the economy can change, and you could have, a great business one day and it dries up the next day, and you've got to be quick and nimble and you've got to adjust.
Wow. So you talked earlier about in your advice that they should have a mentor. Who are two women that inspire you and why?
Oh, well, you know, two women who have inspired me really along the way, really since I was a kid. Some people may not like this, but Martha Stewart has always been a huge inspiration. I may not agree with everything that she's done, and probably the general public hasn't either. But if you take a look at kind of the core of her business, she's really gone for it, and she's had a lot of courage. And like I said, I don't agree with everything she's done, but she has the courage to ask for what she wants. And I think women tend to shy away from asking for what they want. And I think it's really important. It's just really clear. You got to get clear and go and knock on doors and ask for it. And you just got to have the balls to do it. And my second, one who's really inspired me along the way is I got to say Madonna, for the
Oh,
same
wow.
reason. I mean, she's just really bold and she's really courageous, and she didn't take no for an answer, and she just really went for it. And
That's a different mashup, Madonna and Martha Stewart.
yeah. What these two women have in common are courage and independence, and they're fierce.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
in the early days, a lot of people thought I was crazy for going after what I was going after, and they laughed at me and they told me to go get a real job.
Wow, that's mean.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned marketing a couple of times, but if it was product, service, marketing, or planning, which thing in that group has been more instrumental to your success of Organic Authority?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah.
It was that marketing that you didn't want to do, like you said. You were like, I didn't sign on for web stuff.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you wish you had known before you started your businesses, what would that thing be?
I didn't come from tech. We're a tech company, and I wish I had some previous training in tech. I wish I had actually worked at a tech company. I didn't envision myself creating a tech company by any stretch of the imagination. It just kind of happened organically, no pun intended, or maybe I should say pun intended. But I wish I had worked at a tech company, a publisher, so I could have learned the ropes and come to my business with a clear strategy, because I had no training and I had no strategy and I had no idea how I was going to make money.
Really?
Yeah.
So what turned the tide for you?
Just enrolling myself in a lot of business classes, a lot of business classes. Honestly, a lot of those classes were marketing, and a lot of those classes were business, just like 101. And the other thing, when I started, I mean, and it's still very much true to this day, the internet, was, and it still is, the wild, wild west, and
Mhm.
not a lot of people had any real business structures around internet businesses, and they're still being created to this day. So yeah, it's kind of like flying by the seat of your pants.
So you mentioned your husband a couple of times. Who are the five people around you that actually attribute to your success or help you in is your support system? Because I know you said that at some point someone told you to just go and find a job. So who are the five people that say, you go for it, Laura, you got this?
My mother is number one. My mother is absolutely instrumental, and my husband is right up there too. I mean, they're both like tied for number one. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and sometimes you need that. Sometimes when you have no idea what you're doing, you have to have faith in someone else's belief in you. But at some point, then you have to start to believe in
Believe in
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in terms of other people around me, really close family members and a couple of close friends, and strong personalities who believe in you as a person and who believe in, who you are at the core and your authenticity. And also, you've got to believe in yourself, like I just mentioned. Otherwise, it just doesn't go anywhere.
Wow. Okay. So, what are you working on now that will benefit our audience?
Well, we have two large websites, organicauthority.com and EcoSalon.com, where any readers can go to and check out any recipes, any how-to, any nutrition tips, healthy living advice. We do giveaways all the time. You can sign up for our newsletters. We just gave away a $450 Vitamix, which was really exciting.
Yeah,
So
it
check out
is.
our, yeah, yeah.
Wish I was on your newsletter. I need to sign up. You
Well,
see my name, don't be surprised.
okay, go for it. Yeah, we're about to give away. We just ran a contest for a KitchenAid food processor as well. I think that one's like a $650 value.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you all need to sign up for Laura's mailing list because that would be great for you to have these awesome tools for your kitchen. I like that. And I have one last question for you. Earlier, you gave us the tip about signing up for was it KPC? I can't remember what the initials were.
Yes,
For, go ahead.
a CSA, community supported agriculture, which is a farm. Yes. Uh-huh.
What are four other tips that you can give the audience that have to do with your industry that we probably wouldn't know otherwise? Because that was one of them. I was like, what is that? I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's just real quickly, community supported agriculture is where, a local community signs up to support a farm, and so you get a share of that farm's produce for that year, and they deliver it to you, weekly or monthly. Some other tips that we share. A lot of people ask, well, how do I get started, in adding more organic foods to my diet and the whole thing? And my biggest recommendation is start with the foods that you love to eat. If you're a big dairy eater, if you're a big meat eater, if you're a big veggie eater, start buying your favorite foods organically, so you can reduce your exposure really to pesticides and other things that you don't want to be exposed to on a daily basis and can wreak havoc on the human system. Another big tip, when you're shopping at grocery stores, let's say like, Whole Foods, Safeway, Vons, that type of thing, look for the organic version private label, which can be a lot cheaper than actually the brand name. Take, for
Oh,
instance, Whole Foods 365 brand. Not everything is organic under the 365 label. But they have this like amazing screening process that even if it's not certified organic, it's going to be a lot healthier than the conventional version. Something that I've also found very interesting is that organic products can actually be more expensive at conventional grocery stores versus
yes.
Yeah.
Tell them, Laura.
Yeah, more expensive at conventional grocery stores versus if you actually go to somebody who specializes in natural foods and farmers markets. So, do shop around. Some of the bigger box stores, they are starting to carry more organic products. And here's a big tip. In America, we have all been trained to think that value is best. Bigger, more is better. But what's missing in that equation is what's making up that product. Meaning, if you're looking at buying, if somebody has a special on this, cereal, but that cereal is loaded with chemicals, it's loaded with colors, it's loaded with additives, sugars, preservatives that are going to make you sick. And just because maybe it's a few dollars cheaper than the other one, that few dollars could actually add up to hundreds or thousands of dollars in additional doctor's bills, because the human system cannot take and cannot process adequately, all these sugars and additives and preservatives that's at the heart of America's obesity epidemic and are the sources for things like diabetes and cancer and all kinds of stuff. So invest in you, invest in your health, and it really is worth it to spend a little more, maybe $1 more here and there on organic produce. And take your lunch to work, eat out less. Here's a big tip. A lot of people complain about their grocery bill and its expense. Well, one of the biggest ways you can save more money is add more vegetables to your diet and eat less meat. I eat meat. I'm a conscious carnivore, but there are at least 2, if not 3 nights a week that I eat vegetarian because it's more affordable, it's healthier, and it's boosted my energy. I've lost weight, and you just feel all around, better. So those are some good ones you can run away with. Your audience can.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. You all definitely need to check out our entrepreneur tonight. That is Laura Klein. She is the co-founder of Organic Authority and EcoSalon.com. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it, Laura.
Oh, thank you, Yaha, for having me here, and have a good night.
You too.